Staying in the session, you're agreeing to be here while it's recording, but for our guests, the videos will remain off unless you choose to turn them on if you have questions and are called on. But for the most part, you can keep them off, and that's completely fine. So yeah, we went ahead and started the recording. To get started, good evening, everyone. My name is April Brohan. I am the Program Director for Recruitment and Student Engagement in the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. We're very excited to have you here tonight to learn all about our Environmental Science and Policy program in the college. So to kick us all off, I'm turning it over to ENSP directly, and Miss Angela Mazur-Gray, our Assistant Director for ENSP. So Angela, take it away.
Oh, thank you, April. Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Mazur-Gray. I'm the Assistant Director for the Environmental Science and Policy Program. We're really excited to have you with us tonight. I'm very excited to talk to you about our program. Before we actually delve into the overview of our major and all of our requirements and concentrations and things that you'd be interested in, I'd like to first introduce some of our student leaders. So they are part of an advisory board called Ensp, which is the essentially kind of like a governing board within our program. So we have representatives from each class. So we have 3 of them joining us today. So let's just start with Katie, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Hi, my name's Katie. I'm the president of the Student Advisory Board. I'm a senior politics and policy concentration. I'm from Laurel, Maryland. And yeah.
Thank you. Let's go with Evan.
Hi, my name is Evan Brooks. I'm also a senior politics and policy concentration, and I'm been a member of Ensp for 3 years now.
And Mikey.
Hi, I'm Mikey. I'm a sophomore, obviously environmental science and policy major. My concentration is land use, and I do theater, the Shakespeare players, and WMEC radio at UMD.
Awesome, thank you. So a little bit about my role. So as assistant director, I kind of oversee all of the academics within the program. So when you come to orientation next summer, I'll be meeting with you. I also oversee advising for all the lower level students. I handle internships. I sign off on your study abroad forms. I help with audits, and I work with all the faculty advisors within the program. So you're stuck with me for all 4 years while you're at Maryland. So I want you to kind of see me as sort of like a main resource for you. So my job today is to talk about our program, kind of how we're structured. If you have questions along the way, please put them in the chat. That kind of helps drive the conversation a little bit. But we know this is a really exciting time for you as high school seniors because you need to decide where you want to go for the next couple years of your life. So again, please continue to ask questions, but I'm going to give you an overview of our program. I'm going to show you some things on our website. This is typically the stuff that I would go over with if you were to attend an in-person open house. So all the content's going to be the same. But our job is to really help you make the best decision possible, going forward. So I'm going to get started and kind of talk about our program a little bit. Do I have the option to screen share? Yeah. Okay. The cliche question, can everyone see this? Yeah, okay. Okay, so the Environmental Science and Policy program is a very unique program on campus. We are considered an interdisciplinary program. And this is because environmental science approaches many different things. Everything from water quality and air quality issues to environmental law and understanding our policies that are enacted in the United States, to understanding why these wildfires are happening in California or why these extreme weather events and all these hurricanes are happening right now in the South. So we take this approach of understanding the science and policy and putting them together to understand how can we integrate these two to make better changes going forward. So what's nice about this program is because environmental science is such a broad spectrum of disciplines, we approach our curriculum in that way as well. And that's why we have all these different concentrations, as you can see here, because we want to give you the option to kind of choose what area of environmental science you want to study. So to go off of that a little bit more, right now we are all in the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. All students, when they're admitted to the University of Maryland, are automatically placed in this college. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be here all 4 years. So if you end up choosing a different concentration, you might be in a different college. That's because these 3 colleges sponsor our program. Again, we're the only major on campus that's like this. Again, it speaks to that interdisciplinary structure in that we can't just have one strict curriculum. We're giving our students the option to choose among different disciplines. And I'll kind of delve into that a little bit later. But all of our concentrations within the program are sponsored by 3 major colleges in a multitude, about nine different departments on campus. So depending on your concentration, you could be housed in a different department or a different college, but you're always going to be an environmental science and policy major. I'll always be here. You'll always be ENSP, but administratively, you might be housed in a different area. But before students are even choosing their concentration, they are considered undeclared in ENSP. So when you're undeclared, that means your first 2 years, or roughly your first 40 credits, you'll be working with me as your advisor. And we basically will have you take all of the same lower level classes. You'll be taking ENSP 101, which is Intro to Environmental Science, ENSP 102, Intro to Environmental Policy. You'll be taking some lower level labs, some geography courses, economics, your general education courses that you need for the university, like humanities and social sciences, English and math. And then during this time, you and I were meeting together. We're talking about what classes that you're liking, what you don't like, and kind of talking about what you see your interests are developing into. Are you seeing yourself as a more science-oriented person? Or are you finding yourself that you really like the social sciences and the policy aspect of environmental science? And by having these conversations, we can kind of talk about what concentrations might be best for you in terms of what your interests and career goals are. So this is an example of like the undeclared requirements for the program. As you can see here, we have what's called the Ensp Core. So these are, again, the lower level 101 and 102 classes, the intro courses that you'll be taking. You'll have to take calculus in one statistics course, in some combination of lab sciences like biology. There's a weather and climate course, soil science, chemistry, geology, geography, economics, or another geography course. And then again, here are these gen ed courses I was talking about. These courses here that you see are basically going to be your first 2 years on campus. Now, you can certainly take other classes too. Some students are interested in a language course, or maybe they want to take an art class, and you can certainly do so and do that by fulfilling these general education courses. By then, when you're taking these gen ed courses, you might be taking one that's kind of in the public policy school, or in the anthropology department, or geography. And so by exploring while also satisfying requirements, we're kind of talking about what your interests are. And some students know right away what they want to study, and others don't, and that's completely fine. Going back to our curriculum, I'm going to show you an example of one of the plans for one of our concentrations. So I'm going to do culture in the environment. This particular concentration is housed in the anthropology department. And as you will see here, this first page kind of looks the same as it does for the undeclared 2-year plan. You have your core classes here, a combination of lab sciences, earth science, and geography, your gen ed courses. But then when you get to page 2 and page 3, this is where things kind of split depending on the concentration you choose. So the anthropology department sponsors this particular concentration. As you can see, there are a number of anthropology courses that are required for this concentration. You have about 13 credits here. You can choose 4 from this category. And all of our concentrations have what's called restricted electives. This is where things get very flexible depending on what your interests are. So let's say you were in this concentration and you really had an interest in biology or biological sciences. You could take an ecology class. You can take biology of conservation and extinction and hone in on that science. But there are some students that are like, nope, I don't really want that much science. Maybe they're more interested in the human dimensions of environmental science. So they might take a society and sustainability course, or a course on environmental history, or social psychology. So we have all these different disciplines within the program that you can take as major requirements and still have the ability to be flexible but take courses in many different disciplines while still satisfying degree requirements for the majors. So we really emphasize the flexibility of our program by giving you all of these options of courses that you can take across campus. As an ENSP student, most of the classes that you're going to be taking as a student are not going to be ENSP. They're going to be in many different disciplines. Again, that's the multidisciplinary structure of our program. There are many ENSP courses that you will take, like 101, 102, our capstone course, which is ENSP 400, and we have one applied science and policy course that students can take. It's an upper level course on some kind of environmental issue. It could be an oceans course, environmental threats course. We have a course on environmental law, and we are just launching a course that's going to be offered next spring called environmental justice, which we'll be implementing hopefully in the future as a permanent requirement. So that's a little breakdown of our curriculum. So as you can tell, it's very flexible, and you have the option to take many different courses across campus to get that broad perspective and different points of view of how we can solve environmental problems that we're facing today. Because it doesn't take just one discipline to do that. You want to have a broad understanding of many different disciplines to tackle these issues. Any questions so far from anyone in the audience before I continue? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about internship opportunities. And we have a few people here with us that have had some internships. So we're very fortunate to be in an area that has a lot of opportunities available to students. So I'm on our page here, and I'm just going through all these different opportunities that are kind of categorized. So we have agriculture, climate, economics, energy, government and politics, international, land conservation, natural resources. All of these that are listed here are within the Washington, D.C. area. And we're fortunate that many of our students, even during the academic year, can just hop on the metro, go downtown, and work. So we've had students work everywhere from Department of Justice to environmental nonprofits, environmental think tanks, and even research opportunities on campus. So we're very fortunate that we have a slew of opportunities, and maybe Katie, I think Evan had to leave, can talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that they've had as students here at Maryland. Well, Katie, if you maybe want to chime in, because I know you've had some opportunities.
Yeah. So last summer, I worked at a small company called Pando Alliance. I actually found out about the internship through the career exploration night hosted by the ENSP department. And I just went up and started talking to them because I found out they were only 20 minutes away from my home. And they told me that they were offering an internship. So it was really cool because I got to learn a lot about green certifications with like apartment buildings and like residential buildings. So I found out about like LEED and how they all get like certified in the process for it. So it was a really cool experience. Yeah,
thank you. So what's great about Katie's experience also is that Pando Alliance did reach out to us because the majority of their staff are actually alumni of our program in the university. So we've kind of maintained a pretty close relationship, and they recruit students every year to work for them. But we've had students work at a number of federal agencies as well, like Department of Energy. As you can see here, we've had students work at the National Zoo, at NOAA. That's a really popular place where students work. The USDA. So we're really lucky to be in this hub of so many different agencies and research centers, nonprofits, think tanks, and we have a lot of events on campus with our department, but also with the Career Center that bring some of these employers onto campus to talk to students about opportunities that are available. We have panels and things like that where they get to meet employers to talk about, you know, their positions, what they're doing, how they got their job, and things like that. Alongside internships, we also have an internship course, ENSP 386, and students can participate in an internship experience and get credit and satisfy a major requirement. For some of our department or some of our concentrations, internships are required, and we've really never had a student have any issues finding one because there's a lot of resources out there, not only with our website, but I manage a blog and a listserv where I send out announcements to students. So there's no shortage of resources and information out there for students to take advantage of. So we have our internship course, but there's also many other departments and programs on campus that offer internships as well. So you could enroll through another department, but another popular program that our students participate in is called the Federal and Global Fellows Program. And that is a year-long program where students take a seminar in the fall, and then it's followed by an internship in the spring. And it's usually focused around science diplomacy, energy policy. Katie's actually in the program. Can you talk about the seminar that you're in this semester?
Yeah, I'm in the energy and environmental policy, I think it's called, one. So this semester I'm taking the seminar, which is on Monday nights. And it's really cool because it's taught by someone who works for the EPA. So he has a lot of like experience in the field. And then throughout the semester, you learn about like energy and environmental policy, but they also help prepare you for an internship in the spring semester for whichever ones you end up applying for and get. So it's really cool because they help you with like your resume, cover letters, and like interviews.
Yeah, I always tell students it's a no-brainer to join that program because there's a lot of environmental science students that are in it, but also they have so many resources and programs and events and professional development opportunities for students as well. So it's really a good opportunity to get some experience. In relationship to internships, there are research opportunities as well. Many of our students have had the opportunity to have research experience. Actually, this semester, we have 2 of our lecturers that are doing research right now. We have one that's working with the USDA in researching urban land cover, and they're using GIS to kind of map out urban land cover in this particular area. And one of our other lecturers is doing research on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on businesses of urban growers and its relationship and impact on sustainable food systems. So that's some of the research that our faculty are doing. But we actually have a Maryland Student Researchers Program on campus where there are faculty that basically they submit all of the research that they're doing and say, okay, this is the research I'm doing. If you're interested, you need to have this experience. And if you want to apply, here's how to contact me. So they have this big database of ongoing research at the university that students can apply through. And some of the research that they're doing is anything from, air pollution, environmental health issues, water quality issues. So there's really a lot of opportunities for research as well. Mike, you're not on any other research right now, are you? Not yet.
No, I'm not. No internships yet either, but just a sophomore.
You will totally get there. I know it. Okay.
Wasn't the time.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions yet? from anyone? All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about careers, because I'm sure that's a question that all of you have. And I'm on our website because our website is like a main hub of information for everything about our major, whether it's academic, career, internships, or just general information about campus policies or anything like that. The one thing I always want to direct students to is the ENSP Alumni Careers page. So I actually just updated this, I think this morning, with an update from one of our students, Logan. She told me about her current master's program that she's involved in. So all of our alums, we're very fortunate that they keep in touch with us. So anytime they have an update about where they're working or where they're going to school, they let us know when we put on this page. So it is broken down by concentration. But the one thing that I want to emphasize is that you're going to see duplicate employment opportunities throughout many of these different concentrations. And I know the concentrations seem very overwhelming as a student that's coming into our program, but I want to tell you that you shouldn't stress about this, because we've had students that were in very policy-oriented concentrations go to graduate school for marine research. And we've had students in very very science-oriented concentrations go to law school. So what's the most important thing is that your degree is going to be a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science and Policy. And then your concentration is basically a focus area. What do you want to study within the program? Most employers have no idea what a concentration means, to be completely honest, but what they want is experience. So that's why we really emphasize getting research opportunities and internships and just getting involved, because those skill sets is really what's going to set you apart from, other people. So here's one great example. Katie DeVos here, she was biodiversity and conservation biology. This is very heavy, in biological sciences, chemistry. They have to take Orgo 2, Calc 2, so many different cell bio classes. But she is an air permit writer working for the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. So she does a lot of policy work in her job, but because she was an ENSP student, she's had so many courses on environmental law and environmental policy that have given her the foundation to do work like this. So I just encourage students to go through this. There's a lot of different opportunities that students can have that are very similar to the different types of internships that students can have. We have students that are working on the Hill, on Capitol Hill. We have students that are in environmental contracting positions. They're at nonprofits, NGOs, think tanks. They're working for the government. They're working for the private sector. They're working in education. We've had some that have moved and working in national parks. They're tour guides. So again, you have so many different options in ENSP as an ENSP student. When you're applying for jobs, really the biggest difference is going to be what kind of experience do you have. So again, that's why we really emphasize getting experience as a student, because that's really going to set you apart in terms of your qualifications and being qualified to do the job. So I really just recommend kind of going through this. And what's nice is that we have some students that have given their email addresses. So if you want to contact them and learn a little bit more about what they're doing, you can certainly reach out to them. And we have a lot of our current students that do that as well, whether it's for a course assignment or just some students just have no idea what direction they want to go and they just want to talk to people about their experiences in their career paths. So that's that on careers. The next thing I'll talk about is studying abroad. And then Katie can talk a little bit about this too, because she did have some time abroad. So we highly encourage studying abroad. We think it's a great opportunity for students to learn about the world around them, but also how different areas of the world approach environmental problem solving, because it is very different depending on where you go. And we're fortunate that there are lots of different programs on campus that cater to environmental science. So we have some programs in New Zealand on sustainable ecosystems. There's a great program here, Germany and Italy, energy, climate change, and options for a low carbon economy. We've had students go to Copenhagen, Costa Rica, Panama, the entire Patagonia region of South America. They went to South Korea. We've had students go to Russia. So you can really go anywhere. And what's great about the study abroad programs at Maryland is that we have an education abroad office with really great advisors, and I work with them and I work with you to make sure that whatever classes you're going to take will somehow work for ENSP. And you have the option to choose the courses that you want to take. So that's where we come in. So whenever you decide where you want to go, you look at the different types. So let's say I want to go to Italy. So you look at all the different program options in Italy and find a program or a school that you want to enroll in. And they will say, okay, this is the program. Here are all the classes that you're eligible to take. So we work together in identifying what classes will be offered to you during the semester that you go abroad. And we say, okay, this course can satisfy a restricted elective requirement. This course can satisfy the applied science and policy requirement. This course here can satisfy a government course. So we don't want to penalize you for going abroad. So we want to make sure that whatever you're taking will apply to the ENSP degree. Most students who go abroad for about a semester will take roughly 4 classes. For a winter program, you're usually taking 1 class. And for a summer course, you're probably taking roughly 2 or 3 classes. Again, we want you to pick something that's relevant to the major, but you don't have to. We've had students that have taken programs that have nothing to do with environmental science, and maybe they've satisfied the general education requirements. They maybe took, a humanities course or an art class or music class to satisfy those requirements. But it's always good to plan ahead. So when you are thinking about studying abroad, make sure, you do so maybe a year in advance and not like the month before you decide to leave. So just planning ahead makes things a lot easier for everyone in terms of, making it work and making sure that you're graduating on time, because that's the big thing. Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience abroad?
Yeah, so I went to Barcelona this past spring before I was sent home because of COVID. But I did get to I was supposed to be there for 4 months, but I did get 2.5 months there. And it was amazing. I wish I could go back. But since I'm a politics and policy concentration, I took 2 government classes there, and they counted as my restricted electives. So before I went abroad, I met with Angela and we went through the classes I was planning on taking and which ones would count towards my major and as restricted electives, and 2 of them ended up counting. And then I also took 6 credits of Spanish. So I got to learn some Spanish while I was there. But yeah, it was a Maryland in program, and it was really awesome because they tried to only give you classes Monday through Thursday so that you're also able to travel on the weekends. So I was able to go to a lot of different countries. I got to go to Switzerland. I got to go to Paris, Germany, London. So I was able to travel a lot, but also spend a lot of time in Barcelona. But yeah, the ENSP department and the study abroad office makes it really easy for you to go abroad if you want to.
I would say a pretty decent percentage of our students go abroad if they can. And there are scholarships available to students that, might face some financial hardships. So we'll try to get you abroad if we can. If not, there's a lot of other, global and international experiences that you can have right here on campus through student organizations, but also through some of the classes. Because of the pandemic, a lot of study abroad programs unfortunately were canceled. So they're starting these new global classrooms where faculty can actually Skype in with a similar course in another country. So you're kind of getting this comparative education experience. And they hope to continue this, not just this year, but going forward to kind of keep up with these programs and increase them more so students have this global experience in the classroom. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Do we have any questions from anyone about anything before I continue? I'm gonna pull some questions that we've had in the past from other info sessions. So one of the questions that we've had was, when do you have to decide on a concentration? That's a really good question. As I mentioned before, you're usually taking your lower level core classes during the first 2 years, I would say, of your education at Maryland. Usually by the first semester of your sophomore year, so that's when you're approaching 40 credits, is when students typically are encouraged to start beginning the process of selecting a concentration, because at that point you have pretty much exhausted most of those lower level classes, and we want to get you starting to take some of the more in-depth concentration courses, so you're more likely on track. And plus you want to start getting into those more courses that are relevant to your area of study. So by sophomore year, you are declared into your concentration. And when you are declared into your concentration, you are assigned a faculty advisor or a professional advisor from that department. So Mikey, for example, is land use, which is sponsored by the Geographical Sciences Department. So they have advisors there that help Mikey with his ENSP requirements, but they also work with me in making sure that all of his requirements are being met. So while I'm not the advisor for the specific concentrations, I still oversee all of it, so I'm still working with all the students very closely. Another question we talked about internships, research. One student asks, how does the ENSP major different from biology in terms of careers? And I guess we can replace biology with engineering, we could replace that with chemistry, we could replace that with geographical sciences. And that goes back to my earlier conversation about the major not always mattering when it comes to getting a career. People in my career field, in my husband's career field, they never had the same major in college. You can be working for the government and you could have a degree in geology, you could have a degree in government politics, you could have a degree in geographical sciences, you could have a chemistry degree. And what again matters the most is the skill sets and experiences that you have. Now, if you actually want to be a biologist, or you want to work in a lab, or possibly be pre-med or in the medical field, sure, maybe that concentration or that major in biology might be better. Or if you actually want to be an architect, or if you want to be an engineer, then it makes sense to do those majors. But if you're interested in environmental science, but you wanted to be a biology major, you could still be an ENSP major and pick a concentration that's heavy in biological sciences. So it really depends on like what your ultimate career goal is, but it is possible to have the same career as someone who's had a major completely different from you. So again, that's where the experience comes in. Here's a question from April. What's your favorite class? So this would be for our current students. What are some of your favorite classes that you've taken at the University of Maryland?
I can start. This is a class that if you're in the major, you're probably going to take your first semester here, which is just ENSP 101. But I remember when I took it last year, I was just very happy, very heartened by how much conversation there was in like 150 person class. I mean, not conversation, but discussion as a class, just a lot of people offering their ideas. And I was just surprised to see that in a lecture hall that big. And it definitely confirmed, I was like, this is good. It was a good reminder first semester that I'm doing what I want to be doing. So that was probably one of my favorites.
My favorites were definitely ENSP 101 and 102 as well. But my other favorite class was probably environmental philosophy, which I took for a restricted elective. It was at 8 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I am not a morning person, but it was still my favorite class. It was just really interesting, and we always had really cool discussions. I was always like really excited to go to the class, even though it was at 8. And yeah, I just learned a lot of interesting things. So it's pretty cool.
And Katie and Mikey bring up a good point about the large lectures. So ENSP 101 and 102, as introduction courses, they're open to everyone at the university. So they have upwards of 175 students in the class. But lectures on campus, you have the big lecture, but then you also have smaller discussion sections that are only maybe 25 students. And that's when you have the opportunity to be in the smaller group with a TA and you're talking about the content. And this is really where you get to meet other students in the program, but also the TAs. And Mikey's actually a TA now for 101. And what's great about that is because the TAs work for us, and obviously the 101 and 102 instructors are part of our program. So it's a really nice opportunity for students to be more comfortable in the program, meet people that are affiliated with our program. And like Katie and Mikey said, it really helps solidify their interest in the major. So if you really like both of those classes, there's a good chance that you're really gonna like the major. Okay, scholarships for new students. So unfortunately, our program doesn't have them, but April and Kristen could talk about some of the scholarship opportunities that are available through the College of Ag when they apply. Maybe they will talk about that later or now. I'm not sure what they would like to do. Oh, Emma's there.
I can talk about now, but my cat decided to photobomb. This is Emma. This is Emma's backside. This is wonderful. So all ENSP students come in through the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, regardless of whatever concentration they are deciding to go for. So it doesn't matter if you know you are interested in politics and policy, biodiversity, or wildlife. You're still an AG&R student until you declare the concentration. So therefore, you're eligible for all AG&R scholarships, which we offer to incoming freshmen, incoming transfer students, and to our current students. Yeah, so we would let you know about that after you've been admitted to the college, and we would tell you how to apply.
Thank you, April. Here's another question. What do you like most about ENSP? So this is another question for Mikey and Katie.
I like how active we are and how many things happen, how many events are happening, how much communication is always happening to you in the major, even though there are a lot of people in it. Like every day I'm getting emails with internships and opportunities on campus from Angela, and now also that I've declared my major from geographical sciences. So I'm always getting opportunities. And then we also have Inspire. We normally, when we can see each other, we like organize events where we have ice cream social in the first few weeks of school. We have events cleaning up campus. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of engagement. So that's what I appreciate.
I like how it's kind of a smaller major compared to some other ones at Maryland, and how even though UMD is like a huge school, it makes it feel a little smaller within our major. My brother also went here, and he was a different major, but I know at times like he might have had a little bit of difficulty when contacting people, but I've like never run into that problem. Whenever I email Angela or any advisors, I hear back within like the hour. So it's great that it's able to make it feel a little smaller, even though we're at a huge school. And I also like all the different concentrations and how you can really go into any field with it. When I worked at Pando Alliance, they all were ENSP alumni, but they actually were all completely different concentrations. There was some in politics and policy, one was land use, one was marine and coastal management, but they all ended up doing the same job, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's a good segue into, the size of our program. So we have 26,000 undergraduates on campus, and our program is just under 300 students. some other majors on campus could be in the thousands. So we really try to keep that small school feel on a big college campus, because we know how overwhelming it can be. And, you know, we've all been first-year students and completely overwhelmed at a new college campus. So it's nice to have a go-to person or a go-to set of people that you can kind of, you know, reach out to if you're having concerns. And, you know, we really try to, and that's another reason we have our advisory board also is, you know, for students that want to reach out to an upperclassman with some advice or questions that they might have, they can do that. So we really try to hone in on that sense of community, because we think that's really important on a college campus. What is the most challenging thing about being a student, maybe at Maryland, or anything challenging within the program, or what kind of challenges have you faced as a student aside from the pandemic? That's been a challenge for everyone.
I'm having trouble thinking of challenges because I remember feeling challenged by a lot of things that looking like that once, you know, the time actually came, I was like, oh, this isn't that difficult. I was very stressed out by choosing a concentration. And then, I mean, what we've been saying this whole time is that you're still going to get the same degree. So I realized that that was actually a weight off my shoulders when I chose my concentration. I had a lot of help and support right before that. So that felt like the biggest challenge coming in. But it turned out being, I feel more confident now that I've chosen my concentration, now that I can look at a 4-year plan and figure things out more specifically. So.
Yeah, I can't really think of many challenges. The first thing that came to mind was taking bio, because I'm not a biology person or chem, but I got through it and I did okay, but that's the only thing that can come to mind.
That's a good thing. That means that, you know, things haven't been too pressing, and that you've been able to enjoy your experience here. And
yeah,
that's another thing. Oh, go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah, I also just thought of, there were a lot of things I was nervous about that, again, choosing the concentration, I was like, I don't know if I want to take a lot of physics. I know I don't want to take a lot of organic chemistry. If I can avoid it completely, I'd like that. And then choosing concentration, I got to be like, okay, no orgo at all. No, I'm only going to have to take one physics. And so I specified it to myself and what fits me and what I want to do. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's the biggest thing when I tell students about choosing their concentration is look at the curriculum. You know, do you know that you are a strong science student? I mean, we've had students that are like, I love chemistry, I love orgo, I love bio. So it makes sense for them to choose a concentration that has all of those. But we have many students that are like, if I can avoid chemistry, I would love that. So we know what concentrations that we could kind of gear towards. But it's not trying to avoid courses, it's to play to your strengths. So if you know you're a great writer, you really like to problem solve, or you just love history and understanding people and how they behave, then we know that, okay, with this concentration, you'll be able to take classes that focus on those areas. So that's kind of another reason why we have all these concentrations, not only because environmental science spans many different disciplines, but it's also, we know that students have many different strengths and interests. So we have curriculum that play to that. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. I can open it up to questions, but if we don't have any questions, I can hand it back off to April and Kristen to close up.
Just giving it a minute to see if there's any last questions. So to wrap us up, hello everyone, my name is Kristen Coffey. I am the coordinator for recruitment for the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. So I work directly with April, with our incoming students and our prospective students. I also work directly with the department, so I work directly with Angela in planning these events and working with our students. So to wrap us up, I just wanted to share some of our other upcoming events and our contact information.
So in addition to all the information you heard today about the major, we are hosting some other sessions about the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources in general. Also a awesome panel from some young alumni that we have in the college. They're called Simon Squad. It's a new young alumni program that we just launched. And so hearing from students who have graduated within the last 10 years, we have one from all of our departments. So there will be an ENSP student or two in there to talk about their experience as students and then what life has been like into their professional world, into graduate school. And then also to hear from our AG and our student ambassadors. So very similar to Katie and Mikey, another set of students who have a range of majors. We have quite a few ENSP students with other concentrations than these students to also hear about their experience. So just like you registered for today's event, you can go to our website. That's our quick link to register for those. And then to please feel free to get in contact with us. You can meet with myself or April, as well as you can also get in touch with Angela. So if you email us, we can send you Angela's information, or if Angela wants to share hers, we can post it all in the chat. But we're here for you as a resource throughout your college search process. We know that this is a challenging time, and so if you have questions about Maryland in general or how to apply, we are here to help guide you through that process. Like I said, I'll post our contact information and some of these links in the chat before we end.
Yeah, I just put my email in the chat, so if anyone wants to follow up with me, I'm happy to chat with you, and I'm happy to put you in touch with any of the students that were here today, or ones that weren't here if there were other areas that you wanted to explore.
Yep, exactly. So let me copy that information. I lost my tab.
So as Kirsten puts all of that in the chat, I just want to say thank you to Angela, to Katie, to Michael, and to Evan, who had to leave us a few minutes early for talking about ENSP, and encourage you all to feel free to continue to connect with us. If you have questions about the admissions process, Kristen and I can assist with that as well. But we hope to see you as a TERP in the future. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. We're happy to chat. Any other parting words?
No, I just want to reemphasize that as well. You know, we're here to support you, and you know, if you have any questions at all, like Katie says, I do respond to emails quite quickly, which could be the bane of my existence. But I'm very available. So if you have anything you want to talk about, I'm happy to. And like I said, I can put you in touch with students. I can put you in touch with other faculty members that are within our program if there's other areas that you want to look into.
Great. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.